Welcome. I'm your host, Dustin.
And I'm your co-host, Aaron.
Today, we are going to be reviewing the Slumber Party Massacre, 1982, not the remake that was in 2021. We are in 2022 now. This was Aaron's first viewing of this film, like a lot of the other ones. And I guess kind of right off the bat, Aaron, before we get into a bunch of other stuff, what's your overview of this film?
I mean, you best way to describe it, honestly, the way you put it, they don't hold any punches for the 1980s
No,
in this movie.
no, for how early this is too.
Mm-hmm.
1982. I mean, we had Texas Chainsaw in 74. Then we had Halloween 78.
Guess you can say kind of help.
Yeah, I mean, for what this is, it definitely did kind of up the antes, I guess you could say, for like everything to come
Raise
later
the bar
on
a little bit.
Yeah, just because of how ridiculous this movie is and how like there's a plot, but the plot you don't really care about. You don't really need to care about it. All you just want to know is like what is happening in the next scene and what the hell is this guy doing. And like, I don't know, there's a lot of weird things with this film that a lot of people kind of compare to, but I enjoy this film a lot. This is maybe my fourth or fifth time viewing this. I watched it a bunch of times before Joe Bob did an episode on it, but for some reason that's not on Shudder anymore. It's gonna have Aaron watch that today so you can get some more information on the background of this film. But I have a couple of stuff here which I think is pretty cool. But before we get into that, Aaron, if you want to go over who stars in this film, who the director was, and stuff like that, the usual.
Alrighty. Well, first off, the movie is directed by Amy Holden Jones. So it is.
I gave Aaron a kind of fun fact earlier that she went on to do the Beethoven films, the one with the dog. That one. So
we got a director who's branched out into many different genres.
Yep, and I think she also worked under Roger Corman a lot. And everybody knows that if you work under Roger Corman, you're pretty much a video editor for a long time before he says that you are good enough to pretty much go out and do your own thing. So that's another really fun fact.
But yeah. The movie stars Michelle Michaels as Trish.
Okay.
Robin Still as Valerie.
I think she was like the first name you see is the Robin Still, I think.
Yeah, she's one of the only ones with a picture.
I love IMDb.
Michael Vivilla as Russ Thorne.
Okay, so he's the killer.
Yep. Deborah DeLiso, I'm gonna say, as Kim.
Okay, she's pretty funny.
Andre Honor as Jackie. The pizza scene.
Oh god, we'll definitely get to that.
Gina Smika Hunter as Diane.
That's a name.
I know, right?
Damn.
Gina Smika Hunter.
Yeah, say that 5 times fast.
Jennifer Myers as Courtney.
Okay. So she's the sister.
The little sister, yep. Joseph Allen John Johnson as Neil. Dave Milburn as Jeff. Oops.
And it's probably the neighbor, right?
Yeah. Jim Boyce as John Miner, which is one of the girls' boyfriends.
Yeah.
Pamela Roylance as Coach Jana, the girls' coach. It's a girls' basketball team.
Oh no, not Linda.
Brink Stevens, Linda. Rig Kennedy, David Content.
Yeah,
oh, that's the neighbor.
That's the neighbor. Yeah. I think everybody else is kind of just like minor roles. So those are like the big ones that you see pretty much throughout the film. So it's actually kind of a big cast for this film, and it's only like what 107. I mean, not 100. Sorry, an hour and 17 minutes.
Yeah,
100.
That's including credits.
An hour, almost 2 hours, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Let's see.
We got anything funny in there for?
Tagline is "You bring the pizza, I'll bring the drill."
Oh, okay. I wonder if that was an actual tagline. I can go over some
Oh
facts.
yeah, I did notice this actually though. It says
What?
Trish picks up the coffee pot which cracked on the hot stove, but then
I
she
was
like
gonna-
had it on her bare hands all
Yeah,
over it.
I was even gonna say that
I
too.
saw it, I was like, what the fuck?
So that's definitely something else we'll talk about.
But yeah, you said you have some facts.
Yeah, I
for
got
us.
two kind of big facts here that I mean, this movie has a lot of stuff surrounding it with like it being a quote unquote feminist film and stuff like that. But the main screenplay writer, Rita Mae Brown, she pretty much wrote this as a parody to like all other like teen slashers at the time. They kind of goof on it, but then, you know, the company who picked up the movie decided to make it serious, like it is. I mean, it kind of is like a spoof, but not really.
Yeah.
And they decided to change it from what she originally had it titled as Sleepless Nights to The Slumber Party Massacre. And it's literally, this movie is what it says. So this isn't something.
It's a very straightforward movie.
very, very straightforward. So if you think of going into something or going into this,
It's an easy watch.
Yeah.
It's very casual.
Yeah, it's very, if you just want to turn something on, turn off your brain, and just watch things happen, this is definitely a film to do that. And my next fact, this is actually a pretty big one that people still talk about to this day, is Amy Holden. She took a lot of heat from this because everybody was calling her pretty much a sellout, because she was she's a woman, and this featured a lot of women naked, and they were saying you're a sellout, you're going against your own kind, which is kind of fucked, like even saying it like that.
They agreed to do it.
Yeah, I know. And she had a really good quote, and she was like quoting Roger Corman, saying like, well, if Roger Corman tells you to do it, you do it. You know, so she did it, like regardless, you just do it. I think she said that he was a producer on this. Does this say on IMDb if he was? Because I have a feeling that's not the case. Maybe there was something I was reading that was completely off. I don't think he was part of this film, but I could be completely freaking wrong. If it even has the producers.
Normally is like a
Yeah, it's
list
usually at the
of
very top,
oh, okay.
like near where the cast would be.
Casting crew.
Yeah, go to that. Go to
Produced by-
Yeah. Is he actually on that list? This I did not check. Oh,
Roger Corman.
okay, so he is. So yeah, she was.
Uncredited. That's
lit-
why.
Oh, okay. Okay, I think the reason why he did that too is because he wanted this to kind of be her film, for directing it. So yeah, she was literally following boss's orders. She worked under him for like 4 or 5 years, I think, or maybe even more than that. And for everybody who worked under Roger Corman and kind of went out and did their own thing, they all became pretty famous. Like she did this and then jumped straight over to doing Beethoven, which I think everybody has seen that movie.
Yeah. Classic children's movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty sad, but
Yeah.
it's still a good movie. So those are pretty much all the facts that I have. There's a lot more surrounding this. There's some theories that I really do believe in, especially if you've seen the new, like the remake of Slumber Party Massacre, is the driller killer. The drill is pretty much the representation of his dick, and how he's just going around fucking all these girls. We'll get to the end of it when he finally speaks. But there's a lot of very weird things that encompass this film. But it's a great film. I love it.
It's fun.
What do we have for Rotten Tomatoes scores? That's another thing that I'm very curious about.
The tomato meter at 19 reviews is 42%.
Oof, that's rough, man. That's probably because of what I'm talking about, how everybody's saying, well, this is a feminist film and what, nah, and she's going against all women and stuff and having a bunch of women naked. It's like, it's a movie, bruh.
Right.
It's a movie.
Audience score for 5,000 plus ratings, 46%.
Oof. Holy shit.
People did not like this movie.
Do we have any really, really bad comments or anything on there? Anything you can like cherry pick real quick?
Let's see. Along with these are good ones, but
whatever.
a gory and senseless slasher film.
Isn't that kind of the point of a slasher film? Like, this is like what's going on right now too, because the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre just dropped on Netflix. And this is kind of what's going on Twitter and a bunch of other spots, is that people are going after the film because of the story. But you guys got to know that this is a slasher film. This
At the end of the day, it's about people dying.
Yeah, and
blood.
especially this movie, this is the first of its kind. So yeah, it's a slasher, pretty much being a slasher. It was originally written to be a spoof on slashers for the teen genre, and it got a little bit more serious, but still, like, it's something that you're just gonna watch and turn your mind off of. And that's what I do.
Yeah, nothing really crazy,
Okay.
but a couple more. I mean, there's more positive reviews than there is
Honestly,
negative.
with the a gory and what do you say, senseless slasher film, that's literally the point of a slasher film. That should be a compliment.
It's just entertainment.
It should be a compliment. If you want like story, go watch atmospheric horror movies. Watch psychological horror movies. Those ones, if psychological horror movies don't have a plot, there's something wrong, you know? Because those movies always
supposed to
mess
fuck
you
with
up.
your head.
Always mess you up. But today we are going to have Aaron start us off with Slumber Party Massacre.
All right. So we start off. We're in Los Angeles. Kind of a.
I love the tone you're going into now. So we start.
I'm just picturing myself in like a windy, dusty neighborhood with just like a trench coat and just we're in a Los Angeles neighborhood in 1982.
I love it.
There's a paper boy. He tosses a newspaper with the headline that says, "Mass murderer 5 restaurant escapes."
Honestly, that right there, that's all you need for this film. That's the
only backstory you need.
That's the only backstory and plot that you need to this film, because everything just kind of goes along with it. And
He just summed it up right in the beginning, right there. The title tells you.
literally everything within like first like 2 minutes.
Yeah, so we got to a house where we meet Trish. She wakes up, she gets dressed, and she gets together some dolls to throw them in the trash.
And also we get some
titties, yeah.
in the first like 3 or 4 minutes. So it's like literally just right off the bat, raunchy and great.
I mean, it wouldn't be a slasher movie without titties.
Yeah, very true.
But yeah, so we get titties, and she's getting ready for school, I assume.
Yeah.
But so sorry. And then she hears on the news on her radio or her clock that there's been a mass murder. Someone named Russ Thorne, who escaped from the insane asylum, who was incarcerated since 1969 for killing 5 people in Venice, which was nearby. But outside, she sees her parents. They're leaving for the weekend. So, which leaves her, which classic start for a horror movie.
It's
Teenagers
like,
left alone.
Sorry, we're going on vacation. You're by yourself. Have fun.
Yeah, $50 in the counter for pizza. So, anyways, her parents are going away for the weekend, and she's got the house to herself. So, and her mother goes up to their neighbor, Mr. Content, and it says sorry. So, it says if there's anything that she needs to help her out, and while she's gone, and blah blah blah, keep an eye on the house.
This, like, I gotta talk about this guy for a second.
Yeah, he's a little weird.
He's like, right off the bat, like the way he's dressed too is so funny. He's like wearing like a Hawaiian shirt with like,
he's very colorful.
yeah, with like green pants and blonde hair. He comes off uneasy. So like, I think this is like the movie trying to maybe get you to think that this guy is going to be the person who's going to be doing
That he's
these killings, and they kind of set that up for a little bit until we get the hand that's in the next scene. But yeah, that guy just comes off very weird. Like maybe this guy's got something in his closet, It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, but anyways, so Trish throws her bag of old toys in the trash, and she starts to walk to school. And as she's leaving, someone takes one of the dolls out of the trash.
So weird too. Like, why all of a sudden would she just clean up
She's
her room?
18 now. She's too old for dolls.
Oh, sorry.
She's planning on getting laid.
Yeah.
So we get to their high school, and there's two guys named Jeff and Neil.
Such like
jock names.
Yeah, and so like stereotypical.
Of course, they're talking about females and about rumors about their slumber party that Trish is gonna have at her house since her parents are away. So Jeff is he's like hitting on a telephone repair woman named Mary while she's trying to fix a phone line. He pulls Neil pulls Jeff aside, and they're walking off, and the woman stands by her van, but then suddenly somebody pulls her into the van and drills her to death with a large drill.
This is like what, 8 minutes in about?
We got our first kill.
We got tits, we got a little bit of backstory, we got parents running away, we got a weird neighbor, and now we have our first death. And it's pretty crazy how it happens in like the middle of nowhere. Well, I mean, actually, it is
broad daylight.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. In the middle of broad daylight, at a school, in a van. Also, she's banging on the window, and there's not that many people around where Jeff and Neil are, and she's banging very loud. I think we would have been able to hear that.
Oh yeah.
You know, so I mean, this is horror movie logic. You don't really want to think too much into it, but I just think it's really funny that she's like banging so hard, screaming, and nobody listens.
Right. Yeah. Then we cut to the gymnasium where Trish is playing basketball with the rest of her friends, and they're part of the high school team, and so Jeff and Neil get to their practice to start watching them and talk about the new girl, Valerie, who's also on the team.
Yep.
So, and the girl's coach named Jana was yelling at them to get motivated, you know, you need to do better, and then they eventually end up hitting the showers, oh wait, that missed a little bit there.
Not really. They're just
kind of it's just practice.
Girls being girls too.
Yeah, it's high school drama. They get to the showers, and we got lots of titties.
Lots
of titties.
Like, obviously, all these girls are over the age because, you know, they're in a movie. They have to be at least 18 or more. But these are like high school girls. So like, I always feel very weird with movies like this where it's somebody depicting somebody as, you know, a child basically, and us as a viewer is there watching it. It's like, should we feel gross for like thinking that we're watching?
Story. I mean,
I know, but it's just like at the same time, this is something that's always been in the back of my mind, and I never really like think too hard about it. But like, this movie for some reason is making me think about it. Like, should I feel bad for like like thinking that I'm watching like high schoolers all nude? But I know it's just a movie, but you know what I mean.
Especially in the 80s too, so
yeah,
but
fucking 80s.
So anyway, where am I?
I think it's when
showers
they start talking shit about Valerie.
Oh yeah, so they're talking about the slumber party, and Trish is on the other side of the lockers, and she's talking about inviting her, but the other girl's like, no, because she's jealous that she's prettier, that her makeup's perfect, that she's better at basketball, and so she goes, no, I'm gonna invite her anyway. So she goes to walk around to invite her, but she hears her coming, so she rushes to get dressed, and she's like, I'm out.
I'm out. Peace.
And she's about to be out the door, but then she catches her, and she's like, no, I can't, I really can't, I gotta go, and she just runs off.
Yeah.
She's like, she heard, and the other girls are just like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, they were literally like, the way the lockers were, they were on one side of the lockers, and she was on the other one, and they were talking very loud. So I mean, like, I would have been the same way. Like, I know that you're being nice to me and asking me to go to this party, but all your friends are being dicks. So no, thank you. I don't want any part of it.
Nah. But we cut back outside, and we got everybody leaving together. Trish, Jackie, Kim, Linda, some background character, Diane, everybody's there, and then eventually Jeff and Neil join them, and they're being watched by someone, and it is nobody, or it's sorry, it is the killer, Russ Thorn.
Yes. Which is funny because like we never really like hear anybody say his name other than on the radio.
Yeah.
And the radio, we have like a couple of different instances where it's playing on the radio. I think it happens very soon with Jana going home.
Yeah, but you know what I like about this movie too is like the killer isn't just like isn't some like infamous. Well, like he is, but like at the same, it's like some regular fucking dude though. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is crazy.
He's got that look in his eyes. Too.
Yeah. And he got access to a van and power tools and just wants to go on a killing spree.
Yeah.
Like, not that that's okay, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like
I just like how straightforward the movie is.
And I guess it is kind of like something that could happen.
Yeah.
Like it's grounded in the real world. Like somebody could just go and, like, get in my van and you're dead.
You know, I'm sure it has happened, you know?
Yeah, which is fucking scary. Scary.
So anyway, he watches them all leave, and then Linda decides to go back because she goes, "Oh, I'll catch up with you guys later. I forgot to get something out of my locker." So they walk, and then you get like this like sky view of them walking by the dumpster where he dumped the body of the cable lady.
I feel bad for her, but it's so good.
Yeah. Then you zooms in, and she's just got like drilled through her fucking her forehead.
Yeah, the practical effects when they are actually like used and shown on screen are very good. And we need good practical effects to come back, man. There was some in the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but they were also using a lot of CGI.
Yeah. Damn, that's disappointing to hear. I'm gonna go in open-minded though.
Yeah, Aaron hasn't watched it yet, so that's his homework for this week.
But yeah, so then we got to Linda inside the school, and she's got her book out of her locker, and then she's on her way up, and then she realizes the doors are all chained up. She's locked in. She goes around. She looks for another way out, and then Russ Thorn appears.
Driller killer.
The driller killer appears.
Dude, like whoever was locking up, it was probably like the custodian, whatever. He locked that shit up quick.
I know,
like,
right?
He went in and then all the doors were locked.
You would have thought you would hear like chains rattling or something. Why such a big fucking chain? Why not just a lock?
Yeah, and like all the doors too were just completely locked. Like anywhere. I don't even think she could leave the gym to go to a different part of the school.
Crazy. But yeah, so she meets Russ Thorn in the hallway, and he attacks her with his large drill. Large phallic power drill, it says.
Yeah.
He drills through her left arm and catches her. She screams and runs. She hides in the showers under a counter.
I like this scene a lot. The sequence is very good.
But after coming in and looking around, and like it caught me too. It's because she was actually kind of smart. She's like, "Oh shit, I'm bleeding everywhere," and I'm gonna try and stop it up and clean it up so you can't tell. But obviously, she didn't clean it up enough, or there was too much blood. Yeah, but she was smart.
Yeah, and every time you like look at her too, you can see it building up. So it wasn't just like something that
she's
happened
like
instantly.
Trying to like stop it up and then going back to her arm, but like
it's a gradual thing that was happening every time you looked over to her. Like, oh, you got some blood there, girl.
Yeah. But he notices this, and he ends up drilling right through the door. She screams, and but obviously she doesn't last very long.
No, poor Linda. I think she was supposed to be at the party later, I think.
And then he runs back to his van and drives off.
Yep, I can take it for a little bit if you want.
Okay.
So now we kind of have the girls at home. We see them being, walking up to their place and everybody splitting. But then we get this kind of long shot, which this reminds me a lot of like Halloween 78. Is Diane's walking, and then you get the car following her, and she's walking, and then you get the POV of somebody getting out of the car, and you're like, is this the guy? But like as us being horror nerds and fans, we already know, like, there's no way this is the dude, especially since this is an 80s movie. They always like try to mislead you, but sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But no, it's not the killer. It turns out to be her boyfriend John, who looks like an asshole.
Damn it, John.
But she explains to him, like, yeah, I'm going to the slumber party tonight. I'm not going to be able to leave. And he's like, well, I wanted to hang out with you. And like, well, you're not going to allow me to do that. So she's like, I'll just talk to you later. So she goes home, and I'm pretty sure he just drives off.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get
You wouldn't give her a ride home?
No, I don't think she did, because I think she was like right there. But we get the gym teacher, Jana, arriving home, and as she's arriving home, you notice a van right outside her house, and you're like, oh shit, is that the same van? So you're already kind of speculating that something's gonna go down. She's walking up. I think she's grabbing all of her keys, and she's like doing it kind of frantically, really weird, like, oh, is it this one? Is it this one?
Yeah.
So she goes to open up the door, and then you get a drill right through the door, and you're like, oh! And then you realize it's just whoever the hell was working.
I think it was our landlord or something like that.
Yeah, it was like another repair woman. And I guess I was reading up, too, that lady who was drilling the hole through the door was also somebody who was working on the sets on the film. So it was an actual, like, worker on the film, was just doing a quick little cameo, I guess you could say.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so she's like, oh, yeah, fixing your people. Yeah, so it's like, and then if you look at it after, it's like she did put something in it, but it's like hanging out all weird, and you're like, what? That's not good people. Then we jump over to Trish, who is on the phone, I believe, talking to
Diane.
Was it Diane?
Yeah,
I didn't remember if it was Diane or Kim, but she's talking to Diane, and then she hears a noise, and then goes to like turn on all the lights. She sees the door is open, so she's like freaking out. I would too, because she's home alone. Remember, her parents aren't home.
Yep, and your door's open.
Yeah, and I mean, the neighborhood that they're in is very like, everybody's really close together, so it must be like a cul-de-sac or something.
Yeah.
So she closes the door, she turns on all the lights, and then and after that, what does she do? Instead of looking at the house, I'll play a little piano. Yeah, don't worry. If anybody is here, you hear me playing the piano. Just come kill me. Come kill me. But the person who's in her house is the neighbor. I'm just gonna call him the neighbor because I don't like his name.
Mr. Content.
Yeah, that's such a weird name. So I just refer to him as a neighbor just because it's easier.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, oh yeah, what the hell did he say? Like,
he's like, oh, you want me to sit here? He was like, yeah, the door was open. I figured, or I knocked at the door. I didn't hear anybody, so I figured I'd check on you.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll wait with you until your friends get here. And
yeah. So it's just like, why is this guy like? I know that he was
probably means well, but like,
yeah, like I know he was asked to watch over her and the house and everything, but it's just like being a little too creepy there.
Right.
So they, kind of sit down and get a glass, and then just chill out. And then we jump back to the coach, who I think before was asking about her cat or something. I think it's her.
Yep.
There's a lot of girls looking for things in this movie. So she was originally asking where her cat was. Didn't know. She has a noise, but she's like pouring. It must be like wine, I think.
Yeah.
She drops a glass onto the floor. She starts picking up all the pieces, like carefully, like you would if you were to drop a glass, just to make sure you don't step on it. But then she hears another noise, and then she just decides to take one piece of glass, but she's holding it all weird. And she's walking, and she goes over to a closet, opens it, and then we get another quick little jump scare. If it gets you, it's just a cat jumping out. And it's just like, what the fuck, man?
Trapped in the closet.
So we get that going on. Then we jump to the boys again, who are thinking about going to scare the girls. So they're walking down the street. They're like, oh, let's go scare the girls, They're like, well, what's the worst they can do? Get mad at us? It's like, well, I mean, they could dump you. Yeah. If you guys are dating. I don't really know.
He's like, I could, they can kick our ass.
Yeah.
For the third time or something like that.
Yeah. So they're walking down the street, and then we get them walking off camera, and then we get a little pan over to the van, dun dun dun. So now that we know that the actual van is there, and then we get Trish opening up the door. She still has a neighbor over. All of her friends are there, and they got weed and booze, and she's like, no, stop. So they're going in and like, hey, what's the problem? Let's just have some fun over here. We got the goods. And she's like, no. But he comes out and he's sniffing the bag.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, ooh.
He's like, don't have too much fun.
Yeah, and then he's like, it's like, I won't tell your parents if you won't tell them that I scared you. So he just leaves, and they're off to do their own thing. Then,
which that's a little weird, kind of a weird thing to say too. Like,
yeah, it's just like it's very off-putting and
the fact
weird.
that he keeps poking his head in so often, though.
Like, what's going on in there? You having fun? Can I join? Then we do another cut to Valerie, and now we get introduced to her sister Courtney as well, and we find out that one of the other reasons why she wasn't going to the party wasn't just because they were being mean, it's just because she has to watch her sister, because her parents are also out doing
whatever they're doing, gangbanging.
No idea. So we get a little bit of introduction to what they're doing over there, and they're just, fucking around,
making Kool-Aid, chilling,
being sisters. Then we cut back to the group again. There's a lot of cuts. So we go back to the main group, and they're all, talking about the boys and whatnot. And then I got a quote here. It's not how big your mouth is, it's what's inside that counts. So it's just like, what the fuck? So girls are being girls. And then think this is when the pot starts to break, when they're in there. And Aaron was saying earlier that there's a weird thing that happens here where Trista goes, picks up the pot that exploded on the hot stove that's still on, picks it up, decides to put her hand all over the goddamn thing. You can tell this is burnt, but it doesn't look broken. But I think this was a very low budget film, so it didn't really have a lot of stuff to do. But like, oh my god, you broke it. And she's like, well, I'll just have to go buy another one. Freaking picks the thing up and just tosses it in the sink, and then we get another jump scare. And it's Diane just looking in like, hey, how's it going? All right. Damn.
Want me to take over?
Sure, go right ahead. This is when it starts to kind of pick up a little bit more with the suspense.
Yeah.
This movie does very well with suspense, I feel.
So eventually Trish brings up the idea of ordering pizza, and Diane goes outside to get wood for the fireplace, where she's gathering wood, and then you get a cut to the end of the driveway, and there's a hand, like a figure, holding a cleaver. But then you cut to her. She's sifting through the wood. She picks one up. She drops. She goes, ew. And you got a cleaver just goes clean through the snail. Yep. And it's Mr. Content again.
Fucking neighbor, dude. What is this guy doing?
He's on a snail hunt, and I love how it's just like a normal. She's like, oh, you're just on a snail hunt? He's like, yeah, I'm on number 53 right now.
Yeah, it's just like...
She's like, yeah, my dad does that too. He's like, he doesn't like pesticides. He's like, yeah, it's the most eco-friendly way to kill them.
It's like,
which, I mean, I get a few, man, but...
Yeah, it's like... But still, like...
I mean, if you're a gardener, it makes sense.
Yeah, but you're in the middle of the night. You're... I guess sort of stalking the house and watching what's going on. It's very weird. Like if someone came up to me and I was grabbing wood and they had a cleaver and just killed a bug and said, I killed 50 of them already. I would kind of be like, dude, are you mentally okay? What's going on here?
Yeah, she seemed very okay weird with it though. It just seemed like such a normal exchange.
Of course.
It's so casual. Yeah. Just killing snails.
Yep. Don't mind me.
So she says goodnight. They all go in. She goes inside, and he uses to get a scene of him going to get another snail when the driller killer walks up from behind and drills him through his neck.
Oh, poor neighbor.
Poor Mr. Content. So a little bit later, Russ Thorne, or the driller killer, he's continuing to kind of go around the outskirts of the house, and just when he's about to climb through a window, Trish appears and closes it, without knowing that he's there. But then when
Yeah.
she looks again, she sees a melted doll, like one of the ones that she threw away this morning.
Is it melted or is it bloody? I couldn't tell.
I think a little bit of both.
Because when I was looking, I was like, is that blood or is
That's what I
that melted?
Yeah.
I wrote on that it was bloody, but I mean, it could be probably both, like you were saying.
But yeah, so it's one of the dolls she threw away earlier, but stuck it into the window with a meat cleaver.
Yep.
So then she screams, and then Trish and Diane, they go to the garage to make sure that she should lock the garage, which she did not. Rookie mistake. So, Diane calls John, and they're all stoned and high and giggly, and
for sure.
she's talking to her boyfriend John on the phone while the other girls are listening, and she hears them laughing and tells him to come over, and then the lights all cut out. The girls go to the garage to check out the fuse box, and they find some fuses have been pulled out. So they get scared by Jeff and Neil, and then
dickheads.
Yep. And then in turn, Jeff gets punched in the face by Trish.
So that was the third time they beat their ass.
Mm-hmm. So she makes them put the fuses back in, putting the lights back on, and everybody goes inside.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then she just starts putting like hot dogs on his eye and shit.
Yeah, he's like, no one puts hot dogs on your eye.
But so then meanwhile next door, we got Valerie, and she hears another noise. So she goes outside and sees both trash cans lying down, and she starts picking them up, picking a trash can up, picking up the trash, and her sister Courtney thinks that it's just some stray dogs looking for something to eat.
Yeah.
But she looks through her bedroom window at Trish's house, because she wants to go to the party, she wants to see what's going on, and then sees John pulling up in the driveway in his car. He honks his horn, and Diane comes out. She's like, I can't leave right now, and he pulls his car into the garage. But meanwhile, Courtney's telling Trish they're like doing her makeup and hair and all that shit.
Yeah.
And that's what sisters do.
Yeah, and I think they had a Playgirl magazine with just Stallone on it, which is also kind of funny.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's like a a reverse. Like it would usually be like a boy watching like Playboy.
Right.
But now it's like them looking at.
Yeah, she like catches her with it.
Yeah. Like, don't rip out the centerfold.
But so that she's trying to get her she's trying to get her to crash Trish's party. And she's like that she just tells her she wants to be alone. She doesn't feel like she doesn't want to be social. But then we're in Trish's garage where Diane and John are making out in his car, while everybody else is inside. John, he says, he's like, let's go over to my house.
He cops a feel.
Yeah, he's like, let's go over to my place, and sorry. And then she goes into the house to tell Trish that they're gonna go out for a beer, and get beer, which Trish, knowing that,
she's like, you don't need to. Oh, excuse me. You don't need to ask me for permission, Diane.
Yeah, right.
But she knows that like everybody's like upset with her, because even after Trish is just like, well, that just goes to show they can't bring back the old good times.
Yeah, right.
You know.
I
mean,
she's just trying to get together with her friends, and so she gets back in the car, and she gets in the front seat to find John with his head falling off.
I love it.
She screams, but nobody can hear because she's inside of they're running a blender, and because to make margaritas.
Yeah.
So she crawls out of the car and gets killed by the driller killer, who's still in the garage.
Yep, because guess who didn't fucking lock the door again after the car came in? Diane. Diane, why you do this? You're the reason why your friends are dead.
But we cut back next door, and then Courtney thinks that she hears honking and screaming, but Valerie tells her she does nothing, and she asks her if they can go over to the party, and she's like, nope. So she goes to her room, while Valerie's downstairs, watching TV, and go back to Trish's house again.
Yeah, it's a lot of back and forth,
Between the two houses, yeah. Where the front doorbell rings and the girl's like, "Oh, it's the pizza guy. I completely forgot about that." So Jeff answers the door. He goes up to the door. He goes, "What's the damage?" And he hears a voice where he's saying 6 so far. So Kim and Jackie, they're on the phone with their coach, who's like checking on them or asking if they can check on her house, or I don't know exactly. Oh, they're talking about a basketball game, but
yeah, they want to know where the points are coming from, because they're all part of like the varsity team and stuff. They call to be like, "Hey, we don't know who made up these points and whatnot, so can you help us?" So they're in the middle of having that conversation when we get the eyeless pizza boy. And he just falls in and they're like, "Ah!"
No meatballs on that, please.
Yeah. And this is what confused me. I think this might be like a weird, like, I don't know, like reshoot or something, because they were already on the phone with Coach Jana while they were screaming. She heard it, but then when they run to go use the phone, they say, "Oh, we gotta call somebody."
They were just on the phone.
It's just like, what do you mean you gotta call somebody? You literally were just on the phone with the coach. So it's like you're telling me with all the screaming and everything, you guys hung it up, and then you were like, "Oh, we gotta call somebody," even knowing that you were already on the phone with somebody. It's just like, this is like, I think too much about these things sometimes in these movies, and I know I shouldn't. I should just watch it and just be like, "Yep, that is what it is."
That's how these things happen.
But like, I just have to point it out just because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, so they go to try to call the police or whatever, or whoever they want to call after getting off the phone, and he cuts the phone lines.
Oh no! Dun dun dun.
She ends up hearing them screaming on the phone though before it gets cut off, and she tries calling him back, but there's no answer. So she calls Valerie next door, asking that's what I was thinking of. Where she calls Valerie. She goes to check, asking to check on the girls, and she's like, "Nah, I don't really want to." She's like, "But I will if you really want me to." But then she's like, "Oh, I'll drive over and I'll go do it myself.
It'll be safer with you staying in the house." Yeah,
she's like, "You know what? Stay inside. Yeah, I'll check it out myself." But so then we're inside Trish's house where Jeff and Neil, they get some kitchen knives and they start locking all the doors and windows and everything.
It's when they actually start to grow some balls.
Right. And after a while, Jeff suggests that they just run to get help, and then Neil decides to make a run for Valerie's house, while Jeff will make a run for Mr. Content's house to get a phone.
Yeah. I think honestly, this is what was really their downfall, was splitting up.
Yeah.
I know splitting up usually in some cases is good, but it's kind of when you have bigger numbers. But I think if they both ran together, one could have easily have overpowered the other one, while one was like, kind of distracting the driller killer. But instead they decided to go two separate ways, which is fucking dumb.
Yeah.
And Jeff, man, he does not last long. He gets into that garage and he's done. He goes to open up the garage, and Diane is like hanging from the I guess it's the lock or the actual door, because those are sliding doors that always have like a thing up top.
Yep.
So he's freaking done. He gets stabbed through, I think, the chest.
Yep.
Then we jump to Neil, who he's like, oh shit, okay, gotta get here. So he's like banging on the door, like, "Valerie, open up, help. And she's like watching a horror movie. I couldn't find what horror movie she was watching. I don't know if that was an actual movie or if it was something that was filmed before. It might have been.
Back and see.
It might have been a Roger Corman film, to be honest. He was probably like, "Hey, this one," because he pumped out movies like nobody, dude. So they probably put it on there. It's like, "Hey, use this film for this." But it's like super loud. Courtney's upstairs. Valerie's watching the movie by herself, and Neil's banging on the door. And then we see the driller killer just coming from like the bush, just like walking casually with his drill, and like, oh shit. But she finally is like, "Oh, I guess I should probably go and check that door, huh?" After someone pounded on it for like 10 minutes. So she goes to check on the door, and unfortunately, Neil and a drill killer decide to have a fight, and Neil dies and gets carried back. And then Valerie opens up the door, and nobody is there. She's like, huh?
Damn kids.
Whatever. So he carries Neil back to the car, and we realize where he's keeping all the bodies is in the fucking trunk of John's car. And he's counting as like 1, 2, 3. You know, how many is there? There's like 5 or something. He's like, oh shit, there's like 1 missing. So he's like, shit. And this is like the first time you really hear him talk, other than I think when he's at the door being the quote unquote pizza boy.
Yeah.
And this is Aaron's favorite scene, is the pizza scene when they're all like, you know, stressed out, and they're all kind of have their knives like in the corner, like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? It's like, is someone gonna come back and help us? It's like, what if no one comes back? And they're like, I'm hungry. And like, yeah, I'm hungry too.
Yeah, she's like, feels the pizza guy's hand. She's like, oh, he's so cold. And she goes, I wonder if the pizza is.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck? He's so cold. Is the pizza? Oh my god. Like, the dude is dead. I understand you're hungry, but this is not the time to eat, especially when the dead man's holding your pizza. You know, that's like very weird.
Meanwhile, Jeff's at the door, dying, scratching.
Yeah, he's the one that like escaped. He managed to crawl all the way over there, and they're like, "Oh my god, who's at the door?" They're like, "What if it's Jeff? What if it's Neil?" They're like, "What if it's him?" And oh my god, it's like, no, it is Jeff. You need to go help him right now. But they don't. They stay there looking at the door.
And then hear him get fucking drilled to death.
Yep, and they see the blood come through the door. And like, ah! It's like really, really funny. And
Coach Jenna gets in her car.
Yeah.
She starts to drive over to Trish's house. Well, Valerie's upstairs to go find Courtney missing. So she sees her sister walking to Trish's house and runs after her. Where Courtney sees Valerie, but then decides to duck down and hide from her by running around the other side of the house. Anyways, she goes up to the front door. She rings the doorbell. She knocks a few times. She has no reply. She leaves. Jackie runs to the front door from the kitchen to let her in. When she opens it, Thorne is there. And then he swipes the drill across her neck and just fucking. And then
sucks.
So then Trish and Kim run upstairs and barricade themselves in her bedroom with a knife, and Valerie ends up finding Courtney in the back of behind the house, and she sees her lying on the ground, and she scares her. She's like, oh, the sister's a little annoying.
Yeah, I mean,
at times
with somebody who has 2 sisters, yeah, she's annoying. But she is the younger child.
Yeah, she kind of have to be a terror.
I don't know what age it is.
I think she said she was 14.
14?
Yeah, because they're all supposed to be like 18.
Yeah, so I guess that makes sense why she's like annoying. She's going through that time, you know. With the pubes.
But yeah. Sorry, where was I?
She scares.
Oh yeah, so she scares her, and so they go. She finds her and she's like, I don't think anyone's home. And after they look in the windows, they don't see anybody. She tells her she's gonna check the front door again, and she walks inside. Because after finding it wide open, and knowing that it was locked before, just a few minutes ago, you know, when she checked.
Yeah, it's like I was even thinking about that too. It's like you just knew that was locked, but now you're walking in there like it's perfectly fine. Horror movie logic,
right?
101.
So she starts calling out their names, and meanwhile upstairs, Kim, she wants to yell back to her, but she can't. So Trish suggests that she might be helping the killer. She might be in on it.
Yeah, that's a really, I don't know. Maybe I would have thought the same thing if this was me, because you haven't seen her at all.
Yeah,
they knew that you were talking. She knew that you were talking shit about her. And
yeah, because they're like, "Oh, that's a wild response for not being invited."
Yeah, it's definitely logical. I think anybody would probably think that.
Yeah,
still shitty though.
While they're conspiring against her, and then trying to figure out what they're trying to do. The one window they left open, the killer climbs right through behind them.
And it's so funny too, because he's sneaking in, and they're all talking, and you can see him in the background. He's like, "Oh, I don't want to make a noise or anything." He's just like, "I'm gonna get you."
I know, right?
With that face, it's like, this is what I love about this movie. It's so fucking funny, and it doesn't even try to be. It just works its way like that, just because of how the acting is and how the people look in those scenes. It's so funny. And they're like, "Oh, fuck." You know, but it always ends badly when he's in the room.
Oh yeah. So he's sneaking up behind them with his drill, and he hits one creaky board. They hear that.
You're like,
oh. And he's like, he knew he fucked up. He's like, shit.
And it was at that moment when he knew you fucked up.
Literally. They turn around, see the killer. They start screaming, panicking, which I would too. But
yeah, and they barricaded the door too, so they have to move all the stuff.
So they're struggling to move the furniture.
It's like, well, why did you guys close the freaking window? You knew that you needed to lock up.
Oh shit! It's so funny.
It's like the funniest scene out of the whole movie, I think. Actually, no, that's not right. It's the part that's coming up is when he goes underneath the blanket.
Oh yeah.
The whole ending of this film is so funny.
Oh man! Oh, they knock him out with a baseball bat and try to get out. He wakes up. She attacks him with a knife. And then he pulls a knife out. He like twists it too. Which, or like out of her hands, and he stabs her to death.
Yeah. Poor Trish seen all of her friends pretty much die.
I know, in her house.
Yeah.
So she runs out and hides in her parents' closet while he's looking upstairs for her. Valerie's outside and she finds Courtney, and they go back inside where they find Kim's dead body in the fridge.
This is another thing that confused me. Before you get into that, they say, "Let's go home."
Yeah, but then they go in.
But then they go into the house. I'm like, I thought they were at home, because they don't show anything of them going anywhere other than it says them saying we're gonna go home, and then it goes, I think, back to Trish for a second, and it goes back down, and you think they're at home, but they're like, "Oh wow, what a party!"
Right?
It's just like, are they home or are they at the place? But then you find out that they're still at Trish's place. So it's like, you didn't go home. You didn't need to say you were going home unless you were planning on walking through the house to go home. I don't know. It's the little things like that.
The little split decisions.
Yeah.
But this scene's funny. She's like, "Oh, look, can we at least raid the fridge? Can we get us grab a few beers?" She's like, "No, you're underage." And she keeps opening the fridge, but she's not looking in it. So you just see the dead body just stuffed in there. She shuts it. She's like, "Oh, come on," opens it. Yeah. No, okay. And then she decides to open it anyway and sees not Diane.
It was Kim.
Kim. Oh yeah, Kim. Stuffed in the refrigerator and screams.
Yeah.
There's a minor plot hole here, as well as some cheating, as one would wonder why in the world the killer dragged Kim after having killed downstairs the kitchen, stuff her into the fridge.
Yeah. This movie, I know it had a low budget. And that's what happens with these movies, like there's continuity issues and stuff like that. But I mean,
little Easter eggs like that, they make it enjoyable.
And this makes it all the more fun to talk about.
Yeah, and it makes it itself, with the
it's great.
Little flaws.
He teleports. It's all good.
Yeah,
he teleports. Yeah.
So they both scream, and the driller killer hears them. And she sees his shadow coming from the stairs and decides to hide in the basement while Courtney's under the couch.
Yeah. Good hiding spot because it got like the little flaps.
So he walks downstairs, looks around, he doesn't see anybody, closes the door. He drags the dead pizza guy and just throws him down the basement stairs because I think he knows she's down there at that point.
Yeah.
And then he lies down. You want to talk about this one? Yeah,
oh my god, he's got like a grin on his face, and he's like,
this is a good hiding spot.
But it's also funny too. It's like he has like these like a sixth sense because Jana's on the way, and he lays down. And he like moves the drill, and he's just like, literally just acting like he's dead. Courtney's under there watching, like, what the fuck is going on? And then Jana comes in, and she's just like talking all loud, like, hey, is everybody here? Blah 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 blah. But she finds Valerie's downstairs looking for weapons and stuff. This is also really fucking funny. Is when she grabs the handsaw and she goes, she's trying to run upstairs like, I got it. And you see the cord go, and then it's like, and she's like, boom, and she like bang, like goes flying back. She's like, oh, that's not gonna fucking work. So that's like another, like, this whole ending is just like full of like comedic relief for all like the brutal slaying that's happened throughout this film. Yeah. Even though there's more to come, but just him laying down with the grin on his face is so hysterical to me.
I know, right?
I love it. And then we get like the final, like, you know, bang is when Jana goes to see who's underneath the covers, and it's the driller killer. He gets up and they kind of fight. So I have here Jana versus the driller killer versus Courtney versus Trish, and then Jana's dead because they all like come at him with so much stuff, and then he just slices through her stomach, which I think is really, really cool. And then I think there's like a little bit of dialogue here. I think Courtney runs away, but it's Trish who is now trapped. And he says, for like the first time we see him talk, he says, "How pretty. All of you are very pretty. I love you." And it's just like, oh my God. And she's just like, okay, I don't even know you. Just, like, leave me be, and whatnot. So he's like continues to talk a little bit. But I think this is when Valerie, I think, comes up
with a machete. Yeah,
and it starts to attack him, and they kind of lead the fight outside. And he's running, and then he's got his drill, and she got the machete. He's in a drill, like,
they're fighting on the edge of the pool at this point.
Yeah, and he just puts up the machete, then ding.
I know, I love how she just slices through like butter.
Yeah, he just looks at the drill like, and then she just like cuts off his hand.
I know, just chops away. It's just
so funny, and this is like right there is when his dick broke. Literally, he couldn't do any more killing. So cuts off his hand. He falls into the pool, and you think that's all done because we get a kind of a long shot of like watching him just in the pool.
Yeah. And she like just kind of slashes at him, and he falls in, and he's bleeding out.
And then this motherfucker comes up with a fucking stub.
I know, he climbs up with his nose.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God. And then
he's relentless.
She cuts through his stomach and like actually like brutalizes this guy with a fucking machete, and then he's dead. We don't really get much else after this. This is kind of goes to,
he like impales himself too, like he tries to climb on her, and then he like jumps
she's like laying down,
holding the machete. He's
like, I'm gonna get you, and then
he just leans into it,
and then you're dead. And that's,
and you hear police sirens, and you got the classic zoom out and credits.
Literally the movie, man. It's just
I love it.
Slashing fun, you know. I mean, there's
that's
sequels.
What a horror movie should be. You know?
There's sequels, and Summer Party Massacre 2 is like this movie, but even more batshit crazy.
It's like a lot of these like 80s slashers seem like they use the same like basis, like format, but like it works. You know what I mean?
And for how low budget this film was, and for Roger Corman being part of it as well, is really cool. And also him having like an understudy kind of take the mantle on this to make it her own. Yeah. And even with all the flack that she was getting for everybody saying, "Oh, you're selling out," it's a good film.
It is.
Regardless of those low Rotten Tomato scores, like, fuck that. I don't really care about those. Yeah. It's really about your own personal opinion on it. And
it's an easy watch. It's a good, fun horror movie. Honestly, like,
the score.
It's what I look for in a horror movie. It's got its flaws, which I love that shit though. You know, I love the little things, the details.
Yeah, exactly. And throughout this whole movie too, I couldn't help but keep thinking there's a lot of homages to Halloween. Yeah. With a lot of the shots in it, and you know,
the fact that it was all happening between like two different houses. In one neighborhood.
Yeah, it definitely pulls from that. Yeah. It definitely pulls from that. At least cinematography wise.
Yeah.
But it's a super fun film. The score is good. The score was actually done by this, I think, was it fucking her brother or something like that. It did
Her
it
husband,
all,
I think.
something like that, and did it all on like one of those old like keyboards that has had a bunch of weird effects and stuff on them. So that's really cool. Very minimal. Movie's very, very fun. If you just want a bunch of buddies over and grab a beer and get a pizza, and then have someone cosplay as the eyeless pizza boy, I'd also top it, and then just have someone going around saying, "I love you."
I love you.
And the remake, I gotta say in here a little bit, is very, very good. They give the driller killer more lines, but it's a lot of "I love you," and the actor who plays the driller killer looks exactly like this guy.
No shit.
But obviously it's not the same guy, because this guy was already pretty old. I forget his name.
Yeah.
Who played him, but it's a fun film. Very, very fun.
Don't take it too seriously, and you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, just for the fun factor alone, my rating of this is like a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, me too. 9 out of 10 blood splatters.
It's this mindless fun. Literally. If you haven't seen a Slumber Party Massacre,
I don't know.
And also, like, the other thing I was talking about, like, everybody's saying, like, oh my god, a drill killer, like, the drill is his dick. If you look at the poster, it's him above all these girls with the drill.
Yeah.
And they're all, like, half naked.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like...
What do you expect going into this movie, you know?
It's good. It's very short. After you watch this one, I would say go watch the second one, because you're going to be like... The first one was kind of like, what the fuck? But this one's very like, what the fuck is going on? Because the story is all over the place. It's about a guy inside of a girl's mind who comes out of her mind, who has a guitar but has a drill at the end of it, and he's also a rock star, and that they rent a house, and then there's a bunch of stuff that happens, but then it's also in her mind, but then it's not in her mind, and then it's a dream, and it's not a dream. It's very just like, what is going on?
Like
there's a drug plot, but there's not really drugs, and then there's a missing person, but there's not a missing person. It's very all over the place, but please go watch it. It's batshit. It's fun. Yeah, just all these movies are good. I haven't seen the third one. I need to watch the third one. I gotta rewatch the remake. Aaron, watch the remake of this, because you will love it. It was on Sci-Fi, so it's probably on a Sci-Fi app, or maybe even Peacock at this point. So go watch these movies. I know there's been a lot of remakes happening lately, and a lot of, sequels to older films, but they've all been hitting it out of the park lately. I know that we gave Scream kind of a low rating here, but we still really enjoyed the film. It was still something I'm going to watch again once it goes back onto digital. Well, actually comes to digital. I got to rewatch Halloween Kills again.
Same.
I got to watch the extended cut. I haven't had time to watch the extended cut. I need to watch, because it's more to the ending, so I need to watch it for that. And Halloween Ends comes out this year. There's a lot of stuff. There's a new movie that just came out that I gotta watch. It's about werewolves. It's called The Cursed, and it's weird
I've been
because
seeing that a lot.
I was talking to somebody on Twitter earlier about it. Like, oh, I'm going to go see it. I'm like, really? I've only seen marketing for this movie for maybe like 4 days, and it just dropped today. Like, it shadow dropped. I'm like, I didn't see any marketing. It's like the marketing for it's just like non-existent or very little. So with those movies like that, I feel like
Sometimes
I need to, and I need to give it some love for it not getting the proper amount of screen time for people to go and realize that this movie's out. So I'm gonna be doing that at some point. But I think that's pretty much all that I have for the Slumber Party Massacre. Aaron, is there anything that you want to add on to this?
No, not really. Check out Slumber Party Massacre and all of its sequels.
Yep. And
remake.
What we're doing next week, we're shifting gears, okay? I want to give everybody a big warning for this one, because this is a fun, kind of light-filled and bloody, good, fun film. But next week, we're going to be going very, very hard, and we're going to be doing the original I Spit on Your Grave. So, I know... obviously rape and stuff it's not cool. It should never happen, and I know there's people out there who probably experienced it, and I'm sorry that that happened to you, and I hope that you have a good support system around you to help things better. But I just really want to give this warning to everybody before, and I will be giving it again before we jump into the film next week, just because it is a very, very strong film.
Some touchy subjects.
Yeah, I mean, it's about women empowerment also, so it's got that at the very core of the film, even though it's got really, really bad shit that happens in it. But it's still something that I think that we should cover on here. There's a lot of films like this that we're going to be covering that I don't want to cover, but I feel like we are entitled to.
Yeah.
Like Cannibal Holocaust is something that we're going to be doing at some point. I know it's definitely a film people don't touch. It's one that they won't touch. They will never touch. They don't want to talk about. But we're going to do it, so you guys don't have to watch it. If you just want to hear a summary of us go through the film, you don't have to watch it actually happen. So that's the plan for that. And then after that, we're going to be kind of lightening it a little bit again, but not really. We're going to be having a special guest on, Horror Gamer and his co-host Gabby, for their Horror Haven LLC. So they'll be on here for The Exorcist, which will be the beginning of March. So we're ending this month really hard, and then we're bringing it back really hard, but in a different way. So it's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah, look forward to it.
Yep. And I'm still doing Dean's podcast as well. We have some other guests lined up coming on. It's a lot this year. We're focusing more on podcast guests for other people who we listen to, or they listen to us, or anything like that. So no like real big guests this year. Maybe one. I was thinking about doing one, but I don't know if it's gonna work. I won't announce anything as of yet. But yeah, this year is gonna be crazy. So thank you for everybody who's been listening to us and supporting us. It means a lot, and it's been fucking fun.
Oh yeah.
So thank you guys so much for listening. This was the Baron's Head Up podcast. I was your host, Dustin.
No, he's your co-host, Aaron.
And we'll catch you guys next week for
spooky.
I Spit on Your Grave. You guys, yeah, you don't need to watch the film if you don't want to, but please be here and just at least listen to us talk about it so you can hear our views. So thank you guys so much. We'll catch you next time. Love you.